All right, so get this, listeners. Today, we're diving deep into this robbery in Germany, but not just any robbery.
Oh,
This one's, well, it's about as smooth as, I don't know, a gravel driveway. Meticulously planned,
yeah.
right? But executed like a cartoon villain.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What makes this robbery stand out, from your average, what is it, grab and dash?
All right, so we got this guy, Daniel Gruber, 32 years old, down on his luck, and, like, deep in a gambling problem.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Loses his job, things are looking bleak, and he decides a gas station robbery, that's the answer.
So the classic desperate times, desperate measures kind of deal, but you said meticulously planned. Those two don't usually go hand in hand.
Exactly. And that's where it gets, well, interesting. This wasn't just some like spur of the moment thing. This guy, Daniel, spent weeks studying surveillance footage.
Wow.
Yeah. Picked a gas station, quiet area, even targeted a young attendant who seemed, less likely to put up a fight.
He's got a strategy then, assessing risks, picking his target like I don't know, a warped version of due diligence. What could possibly go wrong, right?
All right, picture this. Late November evening, Daniel rolls up to this gas station in his, well, let's just say beat up Opel Astra.
Okay.
Decked out in black, ski mask, fake gun in hand. He even does a final check of his weapon before going in. You almost expect, that dramatic music to start playing.
The theatrics are strong with this one, but relying on a fake weapon, that kind of suggests a lack of, I don't know, real commitment. Like he's hoping it won't come down to an actual confrontation.
And you'd be right. But hold on, because things are about to take a turn, and I mean a sharp turn, straight into the ridiculous. So he confronts Lucas, the attendant, who's, completely oblivious, on his phone. But then Lucas looks up and recognizes him.
Wait, hold on. He's robbing a place where he knows the attendant. That's not just bad luck. That's just, I don't know, terrible planning.
Oh, it gets so much better.
Mm.
Turns out, for this heist, our man Daniel decided to wear, wait for it, his everyday jacket.
No way.
Very recognizable brown leather jacket, even has this, distinctive tear on the shoulder.
You have got to be kidding me. All that planning and he, forgets about the most basic disguise element?
Yeah.
It's almost impressive how badly he's messing this up.
Right. You can practically hear Lucas's mental facepalm. Like, Daniel? Seriously?
So the jig is up. What's our criminal mastermind do when his, brilliant plan falls apart?
Well, Daniel, he panics. Instead of playing it cool, he pulls up his mask to, argue with Lucas.
Oh, no.
The same Lucas who has a clear view of the security camera, by the way.
No, he is literally handing them his face on a silver platter. It's like he's trying to get caught.
It's a comedy of errors at this point. He's shushing Lucas, telling him to hand over the money, forget this ever happened. Meanwhile, the security camera is getting the money shot. And not the kind Daniel was hoping for.
From meticulous planning to, self-sabotage in record time. I'm almost rooting for him to, I don't know, trip over something at this point.
Funny you should say that, because guess what? He grabs the cash, a measly 320 euros, but in his haste to, make a getaway, he trips over his own feet.
No way! He actually tripped. This is gold. It's like something out of, a silent film, a slapstick routine.
And it's not over yet. Remember Lucas, the, quote, non-confrontational attendant. He sees his chance, grabs a fire extinguisher. Get out! And whacks Daniel with it.
Oh, this is too good. What does he do? Does he surrender? Does he, beg for mercy?
He's on the ground, dazed, cash scattered around him. The security camera's still rolling. And to top it all off, he hears sirens. It's like the universe is saying, yeah, not your day, buddy.
What a spectacular just downfall. All that planning, the effort, and he's taken down by, his own 2 left feet and a fire extinguisher?
Talk about an anticlimax. Police arrive, find him sprawled out on the floor. The scene is less criminal mastermind and more, I don't know, guy who desperately needs a nap.
This is beyond botched. This is practically a masterclass in how not to rob a gas station. I'm dying to know what happens next.
Well, you'll have to wait for part 2 of this deep dive to find out.
The suspense is killing me. I can't wait to hear how this comedic tragedy unfolds. Welcome back to the show. We're picking up right where we left off with Mr. Daniel Gruber and his spectacularly disastrous robbery attempt.
Yeah, last time we left him face down on that gas station floor, courtesy of, a few questionable decisions, some bad luck, and one very well-aimed fire extinguisher.
The perfect storm of, ineptitude, I guess you could say. But as they say, the show must go on. So what happened after the police arrived, once the, flashing lights subsided?
Well, you can imagine Daniel's Dreams of easy money. Those went up in smoke faster than you can say fire extinguisher. Arrested, charged with attempted robbery, and, tossed in jail to await trial.
Hmm.
Not quite the high roller lifestyle he was probably hoping for.
It's just amazing how quickly things can, well, unravel, right? When reality sets in. But did his, meticulous planning at least earn him some, like, street cred with the other inmates? That almost pulled off the perfect crime kind of notoriety?
Not quite. In fact, the story of his epic fail, that spread like wildfire. Instead of being, admired for his criminal ambition, he became kind of a walking, talking cautionary tale. People were sharing the security footage. Newspapers had a field day. The whole town was, well, in stitches.
Oh, the irony. He wanted to escape his financial woes, but instead he walked right into a different kind of debt, a debt of laughter, ridicule, public humiliation. It makes you wonder what was going through his mind at that point, right?
Right. Was he mortified? Did he, regret his choices? Or was he just plain baffled by how badly things went wrong? It's like, watching a train wreck in slow motion, except the train is made of terrible decisions and the only casualty is his dignity.
Speaking of consequences, did he at least manage to get himself a decent lawyer? Someone with experience in defending clients who literally, well, hand their face to the prosecution on a silver platter.
Even the slickest lawyer in the world couldn't talk their way out of that security footage. The evidence was overwhelming. I mean, the disguise fail, the mask removal, that clumsy trip, the fire extinguisher finale, it was all there in, glorious high-definition color.
Talk about adding insult to injury. Not only did his grand plan backfire spectacularly, but now it's like immortalized for posterity, a permanent record of his, well, criminal misadventure. What did the judge have to say about all of this?
Well, the judge, I imagine, while trying his best to, keep a straight face, he didn't throw the book at him. Daniel ended up with probation and mandatory therapy for his gambling addiction.
Seems fair, given the circumstances. It's clear that his actions were driven by, desperation and poor judgment, not malice or some kind of inherent criminal intent.
Absolutely. This wasn't, some hardened criminal mastermind, just a regular guy who made a series of, well, terrible, terrible choices.
Ah.
It makes you think about the ripple effects of such a, seemingly small event. What about Lucas, the fire extinguisher hero? Did his life change after his, 15 minutes of fame?
That's a really interesting point. While Daniel was dealing with the fallout of his actions, Lucas was kind of unknowingly stepping into a different kind of spotlight.
Right. One minute he's just, another gas station attendant, and the next he's this local legend.
Yeah.
The guy who took down a robber with a fire extinguisher. Talk about being in the right place at the right time and having the, quick thinking to grab the nearest blunt object.
It makes you wonder, did he relish the attention? Or was he just happy to get back to his regular routine, maybe with a few more, wary glances at customers wearing brown leather jackets?
Yeah. Maybe he got a raise. Or, I don't know, a lifetime supply of fire extinguishers. But seriously, his actions probably had a ripple effect too, right? People must felt a little more secure knowing that even an ordinary guy like Lucas could, step up and become the unexpected hero of the day.
It is a good reminder that, sometimes the most unassuming people, they can surprise us. They might not be, seeking the spotlight, but when the moment calls for it, they rise to the occasion, fire extinguishers in hand.
But let's not forget about Daniel. What happened to him after the dust settled? Did he manage to, turn his life around?
Well, according to our sources, the mandatory therapy sessions, those seem to be a turning point for him. He started attending support groups, got a part-time job, and slowly began to rebuild his life.
It's heartening to hear that, even amidst the public humiliation and the legal consequences, that he was able to find a path towards recovery. But I imagine the shadow of that robbery still lingers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Some stories, they just become part of the local fabric, told and retold until they become legend.
I bet he can't walk into a gas station without getting a few sidelong glances, maybe a chuckle or two. I don't know if he can even look at a fire extinguisher without cringing.
Perhaps with time he'll learn to, see the humor in it all. After all, it is a pretty remarkable story.
I bet it's a tale he tells at parties, maybe with a few embellishments here and there. Oh, you think tripping over your own feet is bad? Let me tell you about the time I...
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that story, the one that initially brought him shame and ridicule, maybe it became a source of strength for him. A reminder of how far he'd come from those dark days.
So in the end, Daniel's story isn't just about, robbery gone wrong. It's about the power of second chances and the ripple effects of even the most, well, absurd events and the unexpected ways in which humor can, help us heal and move forward.
It's a reminder that sometimes life's most valuable lessons, they come from our biggest mistakes.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive into this strange and surprisingly insightful case of Daniel Gruber, the robber who tripped his way into infamy and ultimately redemption. We'll be right back with part 3 after a short break. Welcome back, listeners. We're wrapping up our deep dive into Daniel Gruber's infamous gas station robbery, a story of desperation, bad decisions, and, of course, an unexpected fire extinguisher hero.
We've been with Daniel from, well, the very beginning, haven't we? The depths of his gambling problem, the meticulous planning, and then witness that downfall. Spectacular display of, I don't know, clumsiness and bad luck, I guess.
We've laughed, we've cringed, we've thought about the, the ripple effects of this whole bizarre event.
Yeah.
But the question I think we're all wondering is, what happened to Daniel after the camera stopped rolling, after the laughter died down? Did he manage to rebuild his life after such a public and, let's face it, humiliating failure?
That's where things get, I think, really interesting. Daniel's story isn't just about a botched robbery. It's about the aftermath, the long road to redemption, and the unexpected ways even a, negative event can have a positive impact.
Okay, yeah, I'm intrigued. So what happened to Daniel once the legal stuff was settled? Did he just, fade into obscurity, forever branded as the guy who tripped over his own feet?
Surprisingly, no. His story, as outlandish as it was, it became a kind of catalyst for change in the community. People started paying more attention, being more vigilant, more aware of their surroundings.
So he kind of, inadvertently sparked a wave of community awareness, not something you'd expect from a failed robbery.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Shopkeepers became more cautious, neighbors were looking out for each other, the local police department. They even used Daniel's story as a training tool. A humorous reminder of the importance of attention to detail and, well, the unexpected ways criminals can, outsmart themselves.
Talk about turning a negative into a positive. They basically turned this would-be criminal mastermind into a public service announcement for crime prevention. But what about Daniel himself? Did he overcome his gambling addiction?
That's where things get a little more nuanced, I guess. According to our sources, the court-ordered therapy, those sessions, those had a significant impact. He started attending support groups, found a part-time job, and slowly but surely started to rebuild his life.
It's encouraging to hear that he was able to, find a path to recovery, even after such a public stumble. But I imagine, the shadow of that robbery probably still loomed pretty large. Did he ever truly escape, the notoriety?
It's probably safe to say, I think, that the memory of that night, it'll always be with him. But with time, maybe he learned to embrace it, to see the humor in it even. It's a pretty remarkable story, after all.
I bet it's a tale he tells at parties, maybe with a few embellishments here and there. Oh, you think tripping over your own feet is bad? Let me tell you about the time I...
Exactly. And who knows, maybe that story, the one that initially brought him all that shame and ridicule, maybe it became a source of strength, a reminder of how far he'd come from those, darker days.
So Daniel's story isn't just about a robbery gone wrong. It's about second chances. It's about those, ripple effects of even the most absurd events and the unexpected ways humor can help us heal and move forward.
It's a reminder that sometimes, well, life's most valuable lessons come from our biggest mistakes.
Couldn't said it better myself.
No.
Well, listeners, that wraps up our deep dive into the strange and surprisingly insightful case of Daniel Gruber, the robber who tripped his way into infamy and ultimately redemption.
As you go about your day, remember Daniel's story. Let it be a reminder to embrace the unexpected, learn from your mistakes, and maybe, just maybe, keep a fire extinguisher handy. You never know when it might come in handy.
Until next time, happy deep diving.